Good evening. Hello, Matt.
Good evening. How are you doing?
Yes, good. Yourself?
Yeah, very well at the moment. I'm just listening to the rain outside the window. It's glad to be in here, sat talking to you rather than out there at the moment.
That sounds like Wales to me.
Yeah.
that sounds like Wales.
But I can't say that out loud because they'll send round the mobs.
This is true. I will be there, by the way, this upcoming weekend.
Excellent.
Yes. Anyways, we're not here to talk about social plans and rain and weather and things. We're here to carry on slowly making a game. So I think where we left it last time is we had a good discussion actually about how we both work best, and actually left it creating an issue, focusing more on, I guess, how we take this forward. So the next stage of the game and how we make a turn in the game. And I think what we established was we need to get the world event engine deployed, don't we? So let me, in fact, get my screen up here.
Okay.
There we go. So yeah, we made a quick definition of done last time. So world event engine deployed, the ability to trigger one of those ticks, so a turn happening, a random event selected, and we created one event last time, so it's going to be that one, I guess. And then we'll adjust accordingly based on some parameters. So I think we've got our clear definitions there, haven't we?
Yeah, we were doing fine up until about 2 hours ago when I did a thing.
Go on, tell us. What did you do?
It is very possible I have broken all of the builds.
Oh, no.
Now, in my defense, I think what's happened is, I think we are now testing a path that we've never tested before.
Oh, this sounds exciting.
Because I think we are testing a path where I think every time we've deployed up until this point, we've deployed everything from scratch. I don't think up until this point we have done any deploys of container app stuff where we need to add a new revision onto a container app.
Okay.
If you haven't been, okay, let's go back a step. I think there's two problems. And I think one of them might be.
Is one of them me, one of them you?
So for those that don't know, is when you deploy a container app, in the same way as if you've done Kubernetes, and Kubernetes has this idea of rollouts, and it has this idea of kind of versioned rollouts, so that whenever you do a new deployment on top of an old deployment, it effectively adds another rollout on top of that.
Yep.
And one of the nice things about Kubernetes, and one of the reasons people like it, is that if you just discover a problem in a particular deployment, you can roll back to a previous version, and you've always got that kind of history.
Indeed.
That chain. Like, really good. Now, with container apps, it has this concept of revisions, and it basically mimics that same thing.
I may have lost you.
Depending on whether or not you've lost me.
Oh, there we go. You're back. You dropped out for a second or so there, yes.
Oh, weird.
You were just explaining revisions.
So yeah, so with revisions, depending on how you have the active revision mode set, depends on whether or not the container app environment will gracefully migrate your users from one to another, whether or not you've got any traffic routing that splits between multiple revisions at the same time, or whether or not it just effectively only keeps one instance up and running at any one point in time.
Yep.
Right. So I think the problem we've got right now is that I don't think we've done something right in deploying a new revision over the top of an existing revision.
Interesting.
Right. I think what's compounding the problem with that is we haven't specified a name when we've done our deployment.
Yes, I see.
And by default, what happens when you don't specify a name is it takes the name of the file minus the
Yes, it does.
Now, what that means is because I've run 2 builds at the same time, because they both got kicked off for the changes.
It panicked effectively. Yeah.
It effectively said, we've got one there that's saying it's called template, and then another one that's called template, and they're being deployed to the same resource group, and I can't do that at the same time, so everything gone a bit pear-shaped.
Gotcha. So it should be, in theory, as simple as us coming in here and doing something like
I think it's just a dash name.
dash name, isn't it? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Dash name.
And then, I mean, there's an argument that you could either do player decisions like that, or you could actually specify the GitHub SHA.
Exactly what I was thinking as well. Something like GitHub dot, and we could use it somewhere, couldn't we?
It's SHA, yeah.
It is just SHA.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Hang on, I'm going to go and check that myself now.
I just blindly believed you. I was like, okay, cool, good.
I sounded convincing. I know that.
You did, yeah. I was convinced. You are spot on, by the way, there, mate. There you go. GitHub SHA.
I am right. Yeah.
Hey, I was convinced. Yeah, so we could do something like this. We could do player decisions dash and then the GitHub SHA like that.
SHA, yeah.
Yep. So let me do the same.
I think that will probably solve the first problem.
Agreed. Player states. Okay, so let me commit those. And I'm going to commit to main because that's where our triggers were happening anyway, just to save us a bit of time. Real world wouldn't do this, but
the only other change I made, actually, which you might need to do a sync on, is I added a workflow dispatch to one of the builds so that I could kick it off manually. But actually,
shall I do this now?
Actually, because I haven't then covered that in any of the, then didn't kick off the bits that I needed to do anyway. So,
yep.
I
mean, it's fine.
It's not going to hurt anyone.
No. It's something for us to consider later as part of a cleanup operation, I would say.
You might want to do that off screen.
I probably do, don't I? Let me remove that a sec, just to be safe. Best laid plans, etc.
I don't think there'd be anything wrong with us just keeping it as a static name for each of those. I think adding the SHA onto the end of that,
it's a little bit more robustness, doesn't it?
Yeah, it gives you a bit of history of those deployments.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
also convinced robustness is not a word.
Oh, sounds good to me.
More robust.
I'll be convincing about GitHub SHA. You be convincing about robustness, and we'll
exactly. Hey, I was doing a talk the other day about GitHub, and I was talking about code spaces, and I invented the term cloud local. Cloud local.
Okay.
Yep. Because we're doing our local development in the cloud, so it's like in our cloud local environment. There you go.
And I suppose if you connect VS Code up to a remote code space,
local cloud local, yeah.
You've now got the local UI talking to a remote cloud. Okay. Yeah, good luck with that one.
Oh dear. Anyway, before we go off on more tangents, let's hope that this builds and we can move on.
Yeah, so let's just check my subscription, what I'm seeing there now.
Yeah, if you want to take over the screen share, mate.
As soon as it gets to that stage, I go to there. You should see that one now. So you can see this was the failed one from earlier.
Yeah, gotcha. And right now it's just deploying the image for us. So hopefully when we get to the next stage in probably a minute or so, we should see something useful.
So we should be seeing deploying image now, which means
and now deploy container up. Will it build? Or will it deploy in this case, I suppose?
And do we then spend the next half an hour diagnosing why it hasn't?
I mean, it wouldn't be one of these streams if we didn't do that, would it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this
And
is the tangent we weren't expecting to go on.
Hey, this was the original set of goals that we set there with this stream, right? Is we want to keep encountering things, keep learning,
Yeah,
and see where we end up. So that's exactly what we're doing. Exactly what we're doing.
Come on, wakey. I'm very impatient. There you go, deploy container up now. So the image has gone up. So we should now start seeing 2 deployments going up. There we go, that's better. So now we get to see whether or not those work.
Now, you know, we do have a different problem that we'll eventually encounter. Not yet, but eventually.
What's that?
There's a max limit of number of deployments you can have per resource group, isn't there?
Is there?
It's fairly high from memory, but if we're deploying 2 each time, or however many deployments each time, there is some limit.
So maybe that is the reason why you would go and not share them and actually just keep them as a static name each time, because then you'd be replacing the same deployment over and over again.
Possibly. But then I like this approach because you get to see the history, like you said. So
yeah,
I think there's pros and cons of each way. For now,
they both worked.
There you go.
I'm be surprised.
I'm actually not. I was, as you were explaining the problem, I was like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You can only deploy a deployment within a given resource group one at a time with the same name. So because you had 2 templates kicking off the same time, you've got that race condition, and it just didn't like it.
Yeah, I would almost have expected 1 to have won, though. I'm surprised that because one of them failed because it couldn't start because there was another template already going.
Yeah, gotcha. Maybe there was some kind of cancellation token sent, and it just went, I don't know what I need to do right now.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's not a problem we need to worry about right now.
That took us way less time than I was expecting that to.
So let's make a game. Yeah, that's not going to be so quick and easy, is it? So we decided we're going to work on getting that kind of engine working. So the world event engine, deploying that, getting a tick triggered. Try and say that many times. We'll, as part of that tick, we'll select from our event store of the events that can happen, and we'll pass some random parameters to that event. Yep. So I think the first thing we need to do is the logic to actually select the random event, isn't it? We can't really deploy everything and get it all working unless we know the functionality works. And I don't think we're quite at that stage yet, are we?
Do we need to go that complicated? Because we've only got one event that's gonna happen.
Yeah, sure. I'll take your lead.
So if you think about what should happen now, is the way I see this in my head.
Yep.
And you can correct me if I'm going wildly off track on this one. Is that the world event engine is a thing that will be triggered by, and for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to say a storage queue event.
Sure.
Right. So we have some storage queue event that fires, and when that message is processed, we get every user, get the value of the field that we're going to be modifying. We roll a random number generator, and then we do some factor work on it based on that account. Because we were going to do it based on a region, weren't we?
I think so. Yeah.
So basically, we for each of the regions, we do a random number generator about it. We normalize that to between minus 0.5 and plus 0.5.
Yep.
And then for every user, we load their data, look at their region,
and just
apply that modifier to it.
Yeah, it's just a batch process at that point, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so we almost want to be a little bit agnostic in terms of what is triggering us for longevity.
Yes, we do.
I
I think we should define some sort of HTTP endpoint and then let the
Yep.
processes that exist within the container app decide what's actually triggering it.
Yeah, that works. That works for me.
Some sort of Dapperized process.
That
And
works for me.
Dapperized definitely isn't a real word.
I heard Donovan Brown use it the other day, so can confirm it is a word in some circles, anyway. Cool. Okay. Did you want to jump over to VS Code then?
Yeah.
Let's see.
So we have a project down here, and we actually created a C# project.
Right.
And we are going to want to turn that into a very lightweight
HTTP method, aren't we?
HTTP method, which I think is what we did for player state, if I remember rightly. Yeah, there we go.
Because I think our original logic was it was going to look quite a bit different to where we ended up now.
Yeah.
Which is fine. That's realistic in terms of development. So
let's go back to here and then so we've got the models in play. I'm not even sure if we're going to need those now. What have we got in repositories? So that's player state. So we're going to have to re-implement all of that at some point.
I think let's just go simple, bare bones.
Shall we start again?
I think so.
Let's delete a load of stuff.
That seems reasonable, to be honest.
Deleting stuff is good.
Welcome to this therapeutic session of Crowd with Chris, where we're just going to delete all of our work and start again. If you would like to delete your work, we don't recommend it. Please don't do that.
So let's get rid of that. Let's start there, shall we?
There we go. And Copilot's helping you out there.
It probably is.
Let's see how far we get.
Anything? No.
Never mind.
Nice try, Copilot. So I just want basically to grab these basic bits from here, don't I? I want that one. In fact, let's just grab that, and then I can cut out the bits I don't need. So let's go really simple. We're going to want a NuGet package in there somewhere. Do I want controllers? I probably don't. Probably don't want Swagger. Let's ignore that one for now. Let's go really simple.
Want to keep the controllers purely on the basis of if we change, well, depending on which which trigger we use with Dapr, we might need to use the I can't remember which one. I think it was the queue-based one. It had a certain endpoint you need to call from memory.
Yeah, just HTTP endpoints usually. You should be able to do it in a. So I was just going to do.
Actually, yeah. I can see where you're going. Actually, yeah.
So
you're just going to
and part of the mentality of this is, if we need to go to like if we need to for this pass, this is our MVP.
Yep. I'm with you.
By the time we get to the stage where we're having to make multiple decisions about what events and what criteria we've
got the building blocks there already.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. We move to controllers, but right now,
yep, fine. I'm with you.
So what do I need? What do I need? I need Faker, and then I need whatever that is going to be. So I need those. No, I don't.
Is it the project SDK.net SDK.web at the very top?
Probably. What can possibly go wrong if I change that?
Probably quite a lot, but let's hope, shall we?
And then we want. Oh, let's just go. We don't want to need that. I don't want Faker in. That was our fake data generator.
Yep.
And we will get rid of that one for the moment, just because. So if we do a cd source,
I guess
base world events engine .net build Namespace not directly what?
Contain properties by the looks of it. So fields, members.
Yeah, but the top level statement should cover that.
Jump back over to your other program, CS a sec, there, mate.
Oh, it hasn't got a namespace on it. That's why.
There you go.
That would do it.
I have a feeling we ran into that one before as well.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
It seemed familiar, which is why I was like, I feel like there's something here. There we go. Good.
Right, so then I
Nice.
should be able to do app.map. Is it a get? It's a post, isn't it?
Oh, there you go. It's helping.
I don't think we want. Well, yeah, okay. We can do that, but we don't want any of those parameters because we're literally just going to do something very, very basic, very lightweight.
Yep.
So let's get rid of that. I don't want any of that for the moment. So the way that Dapr works with the storage queue bindings is that this URL needs to match the name of the Dapr binding that you declare in your environment.
Yep.
So if we just change that to /world events, and then do we want to pass anything in? An ID maybe?
An ID of an event, I guess.
I mean, it's a tick ID, isn't it, really? I think, okay,
yeah.
for the purposes of this, no, we don't need to worry about it. Unless we want to log it.
I was thinking of logging it, actually. That is what I was thinking.
Okay, so let's just go do GUID tick ID.
Yep.
Yeah.
Looks good.
We are not really going to be worried about returning anything because we're not going back out to another queue. So it's a one-way message. This is a one-way fire and forget almost.
Cool.
So I think we just need to return. Might even just need to return. Okay. Can't remember how Dapr does this.
Everything is okay.
Yeah. So we are going to need that models class, aren't we? Did we actually create a dedicated models class, or did we just import?
I think we imported.
Which raises another interesting question, but for the purpose of this,
yes, which we had that same debate before, I think, about the cross-service dependencies.
So player state. So we're going to want to go and get. Was it bar and was it bar type? That's what we ended up doing, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Wherever that's declared. There we go. So those are the things that we want to do. Now, there's a couple of ways you can tackle this. You can declare a separate set of models in the world events engine, which would effectively be a duplicate. We can split this out into its own project, but then we run into the problem that we discussed before, where actually on the Go API, we'd have to be duplicating it anyway because we won't have a way of importing it. It's an interesting question as to how you would do that in a microservices architecture where you've got multiple languages at play.
And I'm still not convinced I've got a good answer for it.
No, I don't think I have either. Because the way I can, in my head, I can justify it is if you've got things like OpenAPI and Swagger definitions.
I was going to go down a similar path, actually. And if you could almost reverse compile
code from those,
exactly.
Yeah, so in the same way as if you ever did any WCF, the Windows Communication Foundation, and like SOAP messages and like WSDL defined the data types you need, and if you imported a SOAP WCF style endpoint into a .NET project, it basically created you a copy of all of those types that were needed.
Yeah. I think for now, let's duplicate the code.
Yeah.
We just want to get to minimum viable product, something
Okay.
working.
So
think
what did
that's
we
yeah.
store in the state? Can we remember? Is it just this player state model? Is that the one we stored?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's player state. We store player state. Right. Okay. So we're going to need. If I go into models, I put a new folder in there. Models, and then we're going to need player state bar.
Yeah. And I think that's it for now, because we.
Yeah. Where's the?
I was just wondering that. Where's bar?
Where's bar type?
Oh, I think we just nested it in the same class as bar, actually. Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
We do. So if we take those,
Nice.
we change some namespaces so that they will be. What was it? World Events Engine.
Nice.
They should basically be in there now. So then we're also going to need to duplicate the code for loading the player state. Oh no, we're going to call the API. We're going to call the service.
Correct. We're just passing it.
And I suppose we'll do that Dapr wise as well, won't we?
We can invoke
one from the other. Yeah.
Yep. That'll be quite nice, actually.
Yeah, I don't think I've done that before. It'll be interesting. Okay, so my program is then going to be triggered whenever that runs, and then we are going to go. I want to using at the top. Models, and then we're going to want to do. I'm going to want to create a dictionary, aren't I? Which is the bar types to a random number generator. So we're going to have a var r equals new random and then we're going to go var.
If you type a comment, just for my entertainment here.
Oh, right, okay.
If you type a comment saying something like generate a random number between, whatever you're going to do, 0.5 to negative 0, whatever it is. And then just if you break a new line there. Okay. There you go. You're welcome.
Mm-hmm. All right, fair enough.
Yep. And this is honestly, there's demos that I've started doing now where I have enough of a code base there that I just start doing things by comments. Your camera's frozen, by the way.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, it was always going to be too good.
It was, wasn't it? You did say just before. I'm sure it will happen.
Let's bring that in and switch over to that.
There you go. You're back.
Just move me green screen around a little bit because it's slightly bigger focus. There we go.
There you go. Hello.
Right, that's good.
You're back.
Yay. That's better. Right, okay. So we've now got a dictionary that contains a modifier value for each bar type.
Yep.
We now need to load get each user.
Well, do we yet? So as you were kind of scaffolding this out, I was thinking, there are a couple of components to World Events Engine. There's one where the event is triggered.
Yep.
Then a user needs to respond to that event. And then we need to close that event and then do the batch processing. Just throwing a thought out there.
Do we need to though, or do we?
Actually, true. No, sorry, this one. No. You're spot on. You're spot on. We haven't done
the
the
start of a new world event.
Yes.
Like the processing of a world event effectively triggers the next day's processing.
Yeah. Carry on with your thought. I think we might be looking at it from two different angles. Carry on with where you're going with this, and then I can add in at the end if.
Okay. So we are going to need some Dapr bits.
Look at that, by the way. It's even doing it for district, and we haven't even told it about districts.
But I was going to say, is that even? Yep.
It's commented out. Yeah,
it's commented out, but it still decided to do that. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Now, how? So we need to invoke.
Yes, we need to invoke. We need the Dapr client to invoke the other service. So, first we need to instantiate a Dapr client, I suppose, don't we?
We do, yes. Which means I'm going to need to bring in the Dapr libraries, Dapr client. I'm going to bring that one in because I'm lazy. Bring the whole thing in.
I don't know. Efficient.
Yes, that too. Let's do a .NET restore. Okay, so I should now be able to do var Dapr client with new Dapr client.
That's it.
Do. I need to just bring that one in, and then Dapr client dot invoke. I think, isn't it invoke method?
I think invoke method is exactly the one we want.
Invoke method that will return. Oh, now that's interesting.
Oh! If that is actually correct, that is impressive.
Yeah. So this.
But it's. Hold on, why is it doing it? Oh! It's doing the post even inside it as well. Oh. So what it's doing by the looks of it is it's changing the value of a bar, calculating it based on
not what we need. But
it's not what we need, but it's predicting where it thinks we need to go.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
so we don't need that. We don't need that bit, do we?
Oh no.
Because we just want to get now the thing that I'm just going to bring that down a bit so we can see what it's doing. The thing that I'm not 100% sure about, and I think it'll be all right, but this is going back to that WCF soap horror stories that I was mentioning earlier.
Yep.
Is it's going to invoke a method and it's going to expect a return type, but the return type, and the only time it becomes a problem is if those two models that we built get out
are different. Yep, agreed. For now,
so in theory. And the reason I think about it in terms of horror stories is because in the WCF world, you had namespaces and things like that embedded within the XML. So even though they looked the same and they were structurally the same, they weren't actually the same in any way, shape, or form.
When you try and decompile it, it just can't do it. Yep.
Yeah.
Decompile.
Actually, have you seen what it's done now?
Oh wow! It's even changing the popularity of the bar for us. Wow.
We don't want to change the popularity of the bar.
We don't. But it's scary how it's making our game for us at this point.
It's changed popularity, which we didn't want it to do because we wanted it to modify the value.
Yes. So what we want to do is actually change the player state of the funds. We don't want it to change the value. Because I think if you go to the bar model for a sec there, mate, I think the only thing we had was value for the bar. And then if you look at the player state, funds. Got it. So we could either do it based on player state or funds or the bar itself. We could do bar, I guess. In fact, yeah, we should do bar. because it's going to be based upon the type of bar. So that makes sense.
Is that right? Or
it's the right kind of logic, but we'll want to. So we were going to do a multiplier on. Did we even specify? I think it was going to be value, wasn't it?
yeah, I think so.
So yeah, all we'll want to do then is above bar.value times that random.
Yeah. So times bar type value.
Bar type. Just like the line above there.
Yeah, so we just need that. We need that value from the dictionary. We need to times it by.
Yes, you've got it spot on there. Sorry. Yeah, you've got it spot on.
And then that would be. And actually, we just need to set. We need to get bar.value, don't we? Set it back again.
You just need to go to that var keyword beforehand.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's better.
Nice.
So this is an interesting. It's an interesting thing about Copilot, and Copilot's brilliant. But I was reading something, and it was a Microsoft thing, internal Microsoft thing, where we were talking about ownership of the code. Like Copilot is a wonderful thing, but you have to own and acknowledge the code that it is writing. Right?
Yep.
Which means you have to understand what it's done, and you have to be responsible for that code that it's generated as if it was your own.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's based off public data sets and, data sets, public code, let's say. And then code that's in the public, I know I've written code which isn't brilliant. Yep. And if you're learning off all of that stuff that's out there, then it's probably going to write stuff which may not be perfect. So, as you say, need to take that due diligence. Fully agree. Now, why is it complaining about that get?
I don't know. Invoke method async. I wonder if it's an implied. Is there an overridden version? Cancellation token. String method name. So it should be K.
If you scroll down to look for the definition.
Which bit?
In that little pop-up there, if you scroll down to look for the method name. Oh, it doesn't define it in there, does it?
Yeah. This is where.
Oh, it's method. Sorry, no, actually, if you jump back, sorry, mate, and just scroll down, does it define anything in there about what is allowed or not allowed? Specified.
It's weird because that's almost the wrong parameter. That's implying that it's the first parameter.
Yeah.
So I think this is a Copilot.
Yeah, it does look like a Copilot thing, doesn't it? Which, again, to the point that we were saying there, it doesn't always get it right.
So if we drop down again, so then that would be the app ID, which we can have a look at in a minute.
And then the method name.
And then that would be the method name.
Which wouldn't be right because that's the data store. So that will be wrong.
Yeah, so we would need to change the app ID to whatever we define there, and then that one would be what did we define that as? So it would just be player state / wouldn't it, I guess? API / player state. Is that what we said it?
Yep.
Yeah. API / player state.
Exactly.
But why is it still complaining about that? Why does it still want a player state model there?
I'll convert from. Sorry, what was the error?
It's complaining because it thinks. So it's trying to use that overload. So it's trying to. It thinks that first one should be an app ID, the second one should be a method name, and then the third parameter should be player state data. Whereas I think we want to use.
So we'd need to add player state data at the end then, regardless. So if you add another,
We add a null on there, like that.
I can't convert from string.
This might be a back to the documentation thing. HTTP method. Ah, okay.
It's
Right.
HTTP. Yes, yeah, it's the type. There you go.
So that's going to be one like that. And I
There you
don't think we need that bit on there.
Agree. And now it's caught up on the bottom bit. Yeah.
So that would be HTTP method post, and then that would also be that endpoint.
Wouldn't be player state though.
No, it would be that one. It wouldn't be that, but would be that.
But if you would it be API/player state still? Didn't we have another method to update?
It's a post method, I think, because it's a post operation on the same.
On the same endpoint. I'm with you.
The same endpoint. Yeah, because it's on that API. There we go. So if we go there, yeah. So it's a post endpoint.
Cool. Fine. Nice. Okay. It's quite nice actually. I see.
I don't know whether that's the right way of defining those in there, but we'll find that out.
I was going to say we'll find out. Right.
What's
So what's going on here? State task. Where's player state task?
Well, it should be the continuation. So that should be a task of that. Let's do a quick build just to see whether it's VS Code having a funny time. Models isn't needed. Why doesn't it like that? Yes, well that's going to be a problem anyway. Yeah, that's fine. So that's going to be bar is an integer, bar type value, so I'm going to need to
cast it.
Yeah. Do that. And then back to an int. It's not particularly pretty, but it will do the job.
It'll do it for now, exactly.
And now, what have you done now? It's building. Why have I got a load of errors now?
Awaiting.
Oh, there we go. Yes. Just do that. Right.
There we go.
And that's done.
It's weird that result was a red herring from the code further below. That was a strange manifestation in the code there, but there we go.
Yes.
Okay.
So right now we would have...
Is the app ID correct?
Let's have a look what we've got defined in deployed. So player state.
Is the app ID not the TUT-player state? It's been a while since I've looked at Dapr, so I can't remember.
Isn't that the thing that you define in the Dapr config? I think it's just player. No, that's.
No, they're the state stores. They're the components.
So if I went and added, let's just try that. If I went and added, oh yeah, it's not got any IntelliSense on this yet, has it?
But it's.
So we would define it as an app ID.
Because if you jump back into your ads there.
Oh yeah, sorry.
On that second section there, you've got app ID. So
yeah,
I think It was.
I
your
think we
container
define that.
name.
We define that in the Bicep, don't we? If I remember rightly. I think if you go into the IAC into the template, I think at the point where we create our container app, we declare it an app. There you go.
Player state. There you go.
That's the one we want. So that one will become just like that. That one will become just like that.
Yep. Okay.
So far so good.
Yes.
Did we want to write out a log of the tick happening, or should we just do a?
I think let's write a log.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know if it's going to work, so we need to have.
We've got a
telemetry
table storage there anyway, haven't we? So
exactly. Well, plus it's wired up to log analytics, isn't it? The container app. So
is it? Did we actually do that?
that's just by default, isn't it?
Are they?
Or at least in our infrastructure as code, it is.
Yes, of course they are. Yeah. So there should be. Let's just make triple sure of that. Player state. So we should have logs. Yeah. You mean that bit?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Right. So we want to do still using our Dapr client, don't we? What did we do before? Dapr State Management Service. We did a save state async. Do we want to define a world event model?
Maybe it will do it for us.
Okay. Class world event into new file. So let's do that, and then let's see what it does.
I was partly joking, but here we go. Oh, look at that! Oh, wonderful.
Okay. How will that work in its serialized state?
We'll soon find out.
Yeah. We want to make that public or internal?
Well, we also wanted to go to the models subfolder as well, don't we? Because it looks like it's been added into the...
Yeah, so we'll move that there anyway.
I'm indifferent. I mean, internal probably makes some sense, doesn't it?
Yes. The only thing I don't know is how whether or not the serialization plays nicely if you make it internal.
Let's put it as public for now. You know, we can always go back and update things like that. I think MVP.
Yes. So then our state store name is going to be...
Which actually we probably should have defined that as a variable once, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
But hey ho, there we go.
And then we want a weight.
Nice.
Like that.
Cool. So the next thing we need to do before we can even deploy that is we need to create the infrastructure as code for this one.
We do. Yes. Do you want to take that one?
Yeah.
Or shall I check I'll check this out into a new branch, shall I?
Sounds a good
Now, this
plan.
is where I always...
I think you need to do a pull first, though.
Yeah. That might
before you get into some merge pain there.
Yeah. So I want to do a git checkout -b world events. Should do it. Okay.
Yep.
Let's
do a git commit then.
Added world events implementation. Oops.
You didn't do a git add first, did you?
Oh no. git dot. Oh, you can do thing.
You can. Yep. There you go. That's it. And now you can push.
Push.
Nice. Right.
No, hang on. I've got no option. Git push minus.
Yeah, because it doesn't exist yet. Yep.
No defense. That should do.
Nice.
That was a very long-winded, but that's why I use the UI for that bit.
I normally use the UI as well, but you were persisting your way through it. So I was there with you.
Sometimes I like to try and get out of that habit of relying on the GUI for these things and be able to do it from the command line.
It's there to help you.
It's really painful.
Yeah, I mean it's there for a reason, right? You know, it's there to help in theory. Right, let's see. Source, world events engine. Let's create a new folder. IAC. I'm just gonna be really lazy.
Copy
That across. Inevitably, there will be stuff we need to change here. So, right, ToolUp Tuesdays, resource group location, spacebar, slash.
Ooh, we're gonna need a Dockerfile as well.
World. Be consistent here. I think we've been really inconsistent, actually.
It should probably be world-events then in that point.
Engine as well.
Yeah.
Good is that environment. World events engine.
Yeah. Those are all going to be the same.
Storage account name.
We are going to need a new state storage.
Yeah, so I'm going to call that world events storage state. I'm going to call this world events.
Yep.
Account name, storage account name, key, table name,
world
events, scope is going to be world events engine.
Which will be the app ID of the
Correct.
that we're deploying, right? Excellent.
Which will be down here before we forget that. Okay, container name, location, environment. Yeah, that looks good. Now this is just the container name, so this is again just for our convenience. That, in theory,
We've got one more Dapr component we need to add, which is the binding from the storage queue.
Okay.
Because we currently have it as HTTP endpoint. Now I have an example of that somewhere, because you and I have both done this before in the past on various demos.
Seems like something past us would have done.
Yeah.
Are we expecting that is already there?
Yes, we would need to be able to. Well, I mean, yeah, it's a weird one because no, it wouldn't. No, the environment would already be there. This is going to be deployed just as part of this.
Oh yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. So we're just using that as a reference.
So name.
Where is my example of doing this? There we go. That's what you're going to need. I will send you over on our where's the message thing gone on stream yet? Oh, there we go.
Private chat. Yep.
I was just having a moment.
It's okay. Happens to the best of us. Chats.
So actually, I can bring mine up while you're looking to that. So this is a definition, same way as we've done before. In this case, it's a thing called input binding. It's bound to an Azure storage queue. We scope it to a particular container app. We give it the same secrets we've given all our table lookup. And we're basically saying, whenever a message is dropped on this queue that's defined here, then call the endpoint on my app. That is, in this case, will be called input binding, and our app will be called something like world event.
So,
back to you.
I think so. I just brain is braining. That's the third time I've used that phrase today. Okay, Q. Okay, scopes is going to be that. Well, scope.
Scope would be whatever we call it in code. So that will be our world events. Oh no, yeah, it'll be the that's right.
And then
that will be the same as it was. I'll go back to mine.
so
Storage account name F. We'll already have one of those for the other
there you go.
storage account.
Yep. So we just need to pick a name for the queue.
I guess world events. Yep.
Oh, right. So we're going to call it something. Do we need to reference it by name at all?
That reference there is the name itself. That thing on line 30 that needs to match the endpoint that we set up in the project.
Ah, okay. Right. So
that one needs to be world-events. Like that, and then that one, it doesn't really matter. It's an input binding if you want to be here.
Okay. That seems like a thing. The other thing we need to do is a Docker file.
Yep.
And it is a .NET app.
Yep. So it should just be a world event. Replace player state with world events engine. Yep.
Seems reasonable.
And then the only other bit we're going to need to do then is a new GitHub action.
Yes. Let's that. Engine.
Yeah, and then you've got some other.
And then
there's another one on line 19 by the looks of it. Oh yeah, and that one as well.
Build.
I think the only other one you've got is that it was on the actual name of the image on line 13.
Expansion.
And that'll need to match whatever's in your IAC.
Which it does.
Excellent.
World Events Engine. Good. Good. And actually, I'll need to match what is down.
No, you'd be fine because it's using that variable.
Yep. So we're good.
Go past us. That's what I can say. Past us knew what they were doing with using those variables.
Hold on, we haven't actually tried pushing it. In theory, it looks like it could do a thing.
Yep.
Is my assessment here. So let me add Dockerfile. I see.
I've also realised we've made a mistake with the code as well.
Uh-oh. Too late. Pushed it.
Yeah.
What did we do?
So if you go into the program there, so that invoke method async on line 21.
Yep.
That get method is designed. The only operation we have on player state API is to get a single player.
So we don't even specify which player we're going to get. So it's just going to.
And even then, it's going to fail because we're not. Yeah.
We're not passing in an ID. Yeah.
So what we're going to need to do is to have something on the player state API, a new operation on there, to get a list of GUIDs, I think.
I'm just thinking here in terms of scalability. Like if we have
players, no, I totally
here
agree.
Is making me just feel a little.
Yes. It won't scale beyond maybe a couple of hundred players. Yeah. Because what you're going to do is you're going to end up getting one big list of GUIDs, and then you're going to loop through those and call the player state API individually, potentially. The other alternative is you start looking at things like continuations and being able to do paging of data and.
Well, in reality, I guess it would happen, and you'd probably put messages on a queue to be processed or something.
Yep.
And just react to it. That could be another way to do it. I think for now, let's not worry about that bit so much.
I mean, you could right now you could hard code a list of IDs that are there.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll need to pass. How would we pass that in here? I guess into the player state.
It's just on the query string, so it's a query string parameter called ID, which then just passes a GUID into it. Let me just find out what the IDs of the people are. Because they'll be funky GUIDs, won't they? So
this is true.
You will be needing. We actually only have a single.
Yeah, it's just yours, I believe.
I think it'll be that one, which is the GUID you need.
And Jonathan, the lawyer, tells us that control and space is a handy tip found in Bicep to give you the property.
Yeah.
Good tip.
Totally agree. Yeah, and it varies depending on how responsive the VS Code Bicep language service is being at that point in time.
True.
And you can also run into some interesting challenges if you've not got things up to date, particularly around kind of if you've not done a Bicep update on there. So it can start giving you suggestions of things that aren't valid, or things that it doesn't think are valid, or you can start suggesting things that are valid, but you haven't updated the right programs or the right bits yet.
Gonna make an assumption here.
Yep.
I'm gonna double check. our post
Just
doesn't go. It just takes it from the actual body, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah, because it uses the ID as the row key in the database.
That's what I assumed, but pastors haven't always been kind to us. Right. So, in theory, that looks. In theory, that looks like it would work. So, let's go and create a pull request. Initial MVP of world events engine. And so it's adding the PR to the project. Did we not have did Chris do a bad thing? No. We only do it on push. We don't do it on pull requests, did we? No. Okay, fine. In which case, my pull request didn't add it to the project. I need to fix that. Urged. It's probably fine.
What could possibly go wrong?
We didn't rename the workflow file. I say we. Chris didn't rename. That's on me. I will go and do
That's an easy one to fix, though.
That is an easy one to fix. I'm literally just going to go back and do that right now. Main.
I'm going to go back to main. Bring that version in.
Good. Let's cancel that old one from running. Let's go with this one.
And then we should see a new resource deployed.
Give it time. Slow down, slow down. We need something to fail first.
If this all works as planned, we're shutting the podcast down right now. We're shutting the show down. That's it. We will never top that moment.
Yeah, if it just worked, which I don't think has happened. Although, in fairness, the closest we came to that was the beginning of the stream where you're like, oh yeah, we need to fix this thing. Okay, well, it's fixed. There you go. Oh, okay. Done.
Yeah, I was expecting to get a good 40 minutes of content after that, and we fixed it in minutes.
Top marks for pronunciation. I will be honest, I just went with it rather than thinking through it too much. So I think that must be my tip for names in the future. Thank you, Jonathan. Right, let's see. Do we deploy? I mean, it deployed the image so far, which is
good. We should be able to see that
in the packages. Here we go. Yes, it is there. I can confirm.
Excellent.
World Events Engine. Ooh. This is what it's like for things to work. This is a strange feeling. Right, here we go. Deploying to Azure. Let's see what happens. I mean, there's different phases of what we mean by working. We've pushed an image up.
Yeah, actually.
We'll hopefully have a container app running, but we don't know if that container app, the app running on the container app, is actually going to work. So there's different phases of what we mean by it works.
I think there's also an opportunity probably for a future show actually to go back and try and get this running again locally.
Let's go back.
Because
yes.
Because we're now in a stage where we've got 3 microservices potentially that need to interrupt with each other. You need to be able to work with something like a local storage emulator to be able to test this stuff.
Yep. I think before we get to that stage, I'd like us to refactor the world events engine again to more of what we want, rather than the kind of
Yeah. All right, let's prove
I've-
it's working, and then
exactly. I feel like we've got a good flow now with some of this bit. Let's see. Oh,
I have
that looks like a thing.
deploy. Although it looks like we didn't change the name of the deployment because it's still got the same name as the player state one.
Yeah, that's on me.
But I definitely have a thing deployed.
That's on me. I will fix that here while we're here.
Oh, I failed.
Oh no, don't say that.
Oh, why did it fail? Let's have a look.
I don't hear what you're saying. La 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 la.
World Events Engine container crashing.
Uh-oh. That sounds bad. Should we switch over to yourself?
Yeah. I'm just having a look at what we've got.
There we go. I have switched us across.
So from the system logs, we are just getting a container crashing. Let's go back.
How helpful.
Yes, exactly. Let's go on to that one. Failed.
There is something that we can do to try that out. Does the container even run locally?
Yep. So we should be able to do a
Docker pull on
it. Docker build. Well, we know it's building.
Yeah. If you do a Docker build and then try and run that Docker image.
/world engine, world events engine, isn't it?
Yep.
Events engine latest. Dot. There you go. That should do it. I'm hoping I was in the right folder, otherwise that's a real wasted effort.
I was thinking that.
Yeah, I've looked out on that one.
But I did see in your folder path world events, so I was like, I'm assuming he's not that much of a sadist that he's going to start randomly renaming files to the other things, and and we have enough problems just without causing ourselves pain and mischief. So
yeah. But stupid is as stupid does. So you have to. Sometimes you have to roll with those punches.
yeah, I'm with you because I live and breathe that. So I'm with you. Let's see. It's actually interesting how quick it builds on GitHub Actions.
Yeah, I'm guessing cached.
That's exactly what I was thinking. But it just makes you appreciate how much it optimizes that for you.
Yeah. And also, I think there's a bit of an almost halo effect there in that you've got a certain amount of time that you're waiting anyway.
Yeah, true. It's just kind of bubbled in and as part of that wider.
So if I did Docker run, that's probably about right. World events engine. What port did you expose that? Was it 8080? Oh, now there's a comment there.
I know. I'm just about to bring it up on screen.
Oh, well done. That could take another hour.
They are both excellent choices.
Yeah, they are very, very good, and for different reasons. I think now
exactly
are becoming much clearer now than I think they have been in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the strengths of both platforms, and the beauty is you can use both together as well. Like if you've got your GitHub repos, you can use Azure pipelines, but you can equally use GitHub Actions with your GitHub repos as well. GitHub Actions, every single GitHub action is just another repository, and that just blows my mind every time I tell someone that.
Yeah.
Because what's GitHub the home of? It's the home of open source, where open source developers going to write their actions on GitHub. So suddenly you've got this marketplace of many different actions, which is awesome.
And there's a lot of shared heritage between the two anyway. So
yep.
So it's yeah.
Unable to find the required services. Ooh.
Yeah, I think I might have not copied all the things I needed. So let's just have a quick check on there. No authorization, map controllers. Did I actually include a map controllers in there when I didn't need one? Actually, let's just try a .NET run on that.
True. Yeah. We don't need to go through the whole build process. You're right.
Please that by calling add authorization. It's there. Oh, use authorization. Oh, I've missed a bit. There must be another one on there somewhere. Have I not done an app.build?
Build?
No, I've done build.
Oh no, it's up there. Yeah. I see that.
I don't need authorization anyway, so.
I was going to say, do we even need that? For now, no. In the future.
There we go.
Actually, yeah, we probably wouldn't.
Yeah, you'd rely on Dapr to do that sort of stuff for you anyway.
We would, and we'd probably be deploying it as a private container anyway and allowing only local calls. So, especially to the World Events engine.
That should be pretty quick now as well. Yeah, so that there shouldn't be any public endpoints on the World Events engine. It should be internal only.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's now, in theory, I should be able to call that.
Commit.
Yeah. Let's go do that one through GUI this time. So, fixed ASP.NET for dependencies.
And Jonathan raises a good point there around the environments feature. I think in Azure Pipelines, you've got that capability to be able to look at like automated checks, etc., and other bits and pieces. You have manual approvals in GitHub Actions, but maybe not as rich as what you have in Azure Pipelines. So that, and this is where there are slight differences between the products as well, and you just need to assess what you need with each.
Yeah. I mean, you can do the same things in both places. It just comes down
different
to
way. Yeah,
how easy it is to do in each.
I was having a similar chat with someone last week actually about that. You could do a similar thing in GitHub Actions and just poll or wait in a script or something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just not quite the same experience.
I've always really liked, certainly on the release pipeline side of the Azure pipelines, is around those kind of the pre and post deployment gates that are there.
Exactly.
The different integrations that are available, the different levels of touch points, particularly if you're in the Azure infrastructure, like the sheer number, like being able to do an Azure monitor query and be able to decide whether or not you want to deploy something. If
very
Azure
powerful.
And you absolutely can do that on GitHub Actions, but it's nowhere near as
elegant,
baked into the product as, and partly because of the reasons that you said. It's designed to be an open source workflow engine, and that's the thing it's the thing I like about GitHub Actions, I think, over pipelines, is that it isn't just a CI/CD thing.
Correct. And I could go on and on about that. Like the amount of stuff that we do internally even within my team, the number of events and things I speak at. Like if a GitHub issue is labeled with a certain tag, we'll fire off certain things happening. It's that kind of level of automation that you can do, which is just awesome. And really, really powerful. Really powerful.
What I would recommend is if you haven't tried it, is do the GitHub University, the GitHub Labs.
It's not Learning Labs anymore. It's GitHub Skills now.
GitHub Skills now. Yeah.
Deprecated.
It's Tuesday. It must be another rename. But
different infrastructure, actually. I think it's running on Actions rather than
okay,
whatever platform it was running on before. Yeah.
and that was the thing that always impressed me about that stuff, is actually using GitHub to teach you GitHub.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
the way that it does it will create you an issue, gets you to do something, and then when it detects you've done the right thing, it adds another comment to the issue.
It didn't deploy.
Yeah, but it did
Happened.
deploy last time. Don't get too excited.
This is why I'm getting potentially excited.
Boo.
But is the portal just updated? He says, hopefully.
I think you're being very optimistic there, mate.
I am being extremely optimistic.
Um,
I reckon it's probably a state component binding issue of some sort.
container crashing. That's a new one.
Wait, so the Dapr container, the sidecar is crashing. Is that what it's?
That's the implication, yeah.
Huh. So then that would imply it can't find a component of some kind?
Yeah, I think that would be my guess. So we're certainly getting the thing started. App ID World Events Engine. Down. Do that way. That way around. There we go. What we got there?
Error processing components. Dapr process will execute gracefully. World Events Engine.
Doesn't really help, does it?
Let's look back over. I wonder. Thinking out loud, one moment, caller. So source, World Events Engine, I see. That would be okay.
The only thing I can think, I'm not sure about this, and I think it might be something we need to go away and research.
Yeah.
Is the Dapr to Dapr invocation, does that need a component registry?
Not that I'm aware, because it should be aware of it internally because of the app IDs. Because that's why you have the app IDs, or one of the reasons you have the app IDs. But I'm just looking through. I just brought my screen back up here. I was just looking through the Bicep and just cross-referencing a few things again here. So we've got the input binding, and the input binding we've just called world-events,
Which is right, yeah. That's because that has to then map the thing that is
the API.
The post request that it's expecting. Let me just double check that post request.
And I was going to say, what was the error that you were getting? Did the world events have a dash in it? Because interestingly, when we look at scopes, and let me just look at scopes for one of our others here, actually.
That post.
So scopes.
The only thing I'm not sure about is whether or not it's that invoke method as well.
Gotcha. Because from what I can see in the infrastructure as code, the scopes match up with the app ID.
Well, let's check. We can see if those are deployed up right. Actually, let's think about it.
If I bring you back up.
So if we have a look in the
There you
environment,
go.
we'll be able to see our Dapr components. So we've got a table storage thing called world events, which is what we'd expect, and we've got a binding storage queue binding, which is there. It's limited to that.
And it's got a storage account key, so it is clearly all working there.
Yeah.
So that's all fine.
World
We
events.
definitely need to work on our naming conventions. That's something we 100% need to do.
I totally agree.
And if you just jump back to the log analytics again, then.
Okay. Logs. What do you want to know? Log management. What do you want? System logs, console logs, system logs, probably, isn't it?
Whichever one showed us the component that was failing.
Let's go and try that one. I think it was that one. Shutting down. So component loaded table storage. So it definitely loaded that one.
Do you know what?
Uh-huh.
No, actually, it wouldn't be that. I thought that we would have brought in the storage queue as a state component, but no, we have brought it in as a binding.
The only thing I can think it might be is the we didn't do anything with port mappings, did we?
True. Yes. True. We didn't.
So if
Good point.
if it's expecting it to be listing on a certain address,
80 or something. Yep.
the IAC. So that binding, no, it doesn't define anything. And if we do anything in the Docker file, has that got a
Nothing explicit.
And was that the same to it? Well, yeah, it was the right port it was running on when I ran it locally, so that should be the same.
Bindings. Azure storage queues. Just double checking. Interesting. The binding queues, sorry, the binding Azure storage queues type seems to have a different, and I'll bring my screen. There we go. Seems to have. There we go. If you take a look at this screen here, mate.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So storage account, storage access key.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Now that demo that I showed up originally was an actual working demo that you and I played around with ages ago. So unless it's changed,
I think I may have copied half. This may be me copy and pasting error. So let me update. And push storage account, storage access key. Yep. Okay. Back here.
what did you used to do there?
So I changed these two property names from account name and account key.
Right.
Storage
Okay.
account and storage access key.
Makes sense.
Because if you can't pick up the properties, it's not going to be able to make the component, is it? So,
And actually, one of the first things we should see is the queue being created when it starts up.
True. And
We didn't see.
yeah, which interestingly, we saw we validated it by saying, yeah, look, we can see the components and properties are being created. But if the properties are created with the wrong property names, then yeah, there's going to be issues because it can't create the queue.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah. Deploy image. How long does it take to deploy the images before? I'm curious.
2 minutes.
40 seconds there.
2 minutes in total, pretty much, for the whole thing.
Nice. Very speedy.
Mm.
Do love a bit of CI/CD. Would be biased, but
Yeah.
I don't know why. Maybe I'm really dull and boring, but I just love process automation and stuff like that. Like if you can tweak things and spend hours automating it for minutes gain,
I think it can become a bit of an addiction.
it can. It can.
I think once you start seeing the benefits of it, then you want to do it with everything.
Yes. Indeed.
And I like, from a team point of view, it can make a massive difference to productivity on the team.
Well, this is it.
Actually,
think of seconds a day times a team of however many developers or engineers are on the team.
There was I can't remember which book it's from. It was Code Complete or Pragmatic Programmer or one of those that talks about in the old days you used to get your junior programmers to do your process automation. And now you want your absolute top engineers to be on it, because the difference in productivity that they will make for the whole team by getting that stuff right is significant. Like that's where your 10x developers come from. Is not from an individual who's 10 times better. It's a good developer enabling 10 developers to be better. Exactly.
Jonathan says to our earlier discussion there, agreed, and a real pain when it doesn't work. Oh, yes.
Yes. Again, that goes back to making sure you've got good people creating the stuff.
And it's where, things like quality and all of those concepts, that shift left mentality, how we can just bring that in and it's then just part of the process. I just don't understand these days, if you're building cloud infrastructure, why you wouldn't go down that path. Yeah. Maybe a very bold statement.
I feel the same way about infrastructure as code as well. I don't
agree.
Why
agree.
Why you don't know. We have a queue.
Oh, exciting.
We have a queue. I have seen a queue.
That's exciting.
It's very exciting.
I mean, it's still deploying, but in theory, if we've got a queue, then we're done. We can pack up.
We have a provisioned container app as well.
Oh, I will switch over to yourself.
So we have something that's running as green. Yay.
I like green.
We have, if I go back to the storage account, into my storage browser, we have a queue.
So then to trigger this, what we would need to do is put
a message on there.
Yes. And
so what?
You went through the exact same logic. Hold on, what do we need to actually send this thing now?
It needs to be a GUID. I know it's just straight up an ID GUID. The question is when we set that up, we did decode base 64 is false. So we don't want to post it as decoded 64. Base 64, we just want to decode it as effectively a...
No, I just hard-coded a GUID into the...
Yeah, but we've still got a tick.
Oh, yeah, we are passing them in. Sorry.
So if I do new hyphen GUID on there, generate me one of them.
Carefully your spaces at the end.
That's right, we'll sort that out in a minute. And then I think I can do it that way. Or do we just call it ID? Is that what we called
it? Tick ID.
Tick ID.
Camel cased.
I think that's right. We don't want to encode the message in base 64 because it won't be able to decode it.
And then maybe just copy and paste that just in case.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go. And then refresh and it should disappear.
probably didn't want to put it in like that. I should probably just put it in. It disappeared.
Gone.
Something processed.
But now the question is, did it process successfully or not? Oh. But actually,
The interesting part will be looking at player state now.
that's
Did
exactly
anything
what I was thinking.
change? We should have probably looked at what it was before.
But the timestamp there.
Yeah, it hasn't changed, has it?
Uh,
Although,
I think we did something before to validate that it was 900 towards the end of last time.
we've also got a value of 0 on there.
Yeah, so 0 times anything, it's going to be 0.
Not going to be the best validation there, is it? Should I maybe change
No.
that manually right now?
Yeah, that might be a good idea. But I'm not convinced that that'll actually work, though. Anyway.
No, I don't think it. I don't think it picked up. I think the way that I posted that message was wrong. I think if I got rid of all that and just posted the GUID.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, because we're not decoding any JSON, to be fair. We're just taking the direct.
Yeah, expecting a value in there.
Yeah.
So it's going.
Okay.
Then player state. It's
Still
not
1,000.
changing. Right, so we are on the verge of greatness. Get rid of that. Oh no, go away. Get rid of that. Let's try that one. Set for it will be a different.
Yes, it will.
Revision.
Contains. Yep.
It be starts with. I think.
I guess both would work. Okay.
Right, so did we have... We're certainly seeing fails to send binding event to HTTP app channel.
Oh, where'd you...
So that first line there. We should probably just put some more diagnostics in there, shouldn't we, really?
We probably should. But do you know what? I think that's probably a next time problem.
I agree. That's been interesting, though.
It has been. It's interesting that that error comes so late, though. Like, it's already executing several posts previously.
That's the Dapr invocation of the... So each of those is basically Dapr relaying the
kind of
queue message onto the board event endpoint.
So we know
we know it's getting to the right place. I think the problem we've got now is with the
invoke method.
Invoke, yeah,
Gotcha.
absolutely. And I think that's a formatting thing rather than anything else.
Yeah, gotcha. Well,
But
progress.
we've done a thing.
So do you know, actually, before we do close,
Yeah.
what we should do...
Let's update a ticket.
Yeah. Well, not update a ticket. Maybe even... Let me see. Tuesday. Maybe even create a new one, potentially. You know what? It might actually be update. Vault Event Engine deployed. It is deployed.
Yes.
You know, looking at the definition, it is deployed. And we have been able to trigger a tick.
Yes. We just haven't been able to do the next bits.
Exactly. So I think what we also need to add in is update naming conventions for consistency, because I think that threw us a few times. And then investigate.
There's probably also a refactor as well, isn't there?
There is refactor. Stability.
Yeah.
Additional events. That's effectively what it is, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay, that's good. Good.
Excellent.
So I think our next one, if I just check, is apparently the 20th, which is 2 weeks away, which sounds about right.
Yes. Yes, that sounds all right.
20th. Good. Cool. So, good progress. Good progress. So, the 20th, we will carry on. We will refactor. We will do more great things. But that was good fun.
Yeah.
I think we've
It was,
made
yeah.
some good progress. And I think once we got that hurdle out the way, then we open up actually, as long as we refactor it in the right way, I think the challenging bit is going to be so that we do it in like a rules engine kind of an approach.
Yeah.
So we don't make it too constrained.
Yeah.
That's going to be the challenge. But
yeah, and I've got some interesting ideas around how we can tackle that. There's some patterns I've used in the past that are fun to play with.
that is a lovely tease for next time, there, Matt. So,
well, we're going to get working first. So,
well, exactly. So until then, thank you for joining, and Jonathan, thank you in the chat as well. Appreciate that. And we will see you all in 2 weeks. So until then, folks, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you next time.
bye.